Speed and Nguyen's Deep Dive podcast is an official podcast made by Speed and Nguyen with the voice made from Google's Notebook LM. Do not reproduce our podcast without permissions from the owner. Welcome to the Speed and Nguyen's Deep Dive podcast.
So glad to be here for this one.
Yeah, we have a really intense topic today.
Yeah.
So imagine possessing the power to slice a commercial airliner in half with just a glance.
Right. Just looking at it.
Exactly. But at the same time, you are so emotionally fragile that your entire sense of self-worth hinges on, like, your latest corporate polling numbers.
It's such a wild paradox.
It really is. And that is the terrifying paradox of Homelander, the centerpiece of the hit series The Boys.
A truly fascinating character to unpack.
Definitely. So today, for this deep dive, we are unpacking a massive stack of material for you. We've got academic political analyses, transmedia marketing studies.
Oh, and the internet culture breakdowns.
Yes, those are wild. Plus, even to dive into some fictional combat physics. Because our mission today is to figure out how this narcissistic, lab-created villain became, well, a massive internet meme.
And really a dark mirror for modern celebrity and corporate power.
Exactly. I mean, think of Homelander as this twisted mashup of Captain America and Superman.
Right. He's got the immense power, the flag cape, the golden eagles on the shoulders.
Yeah, all the visuals.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of being raised by loving parents on a wholesome farm, to value human life.
Like Superman was.
Right. Instead of that, this all-powerful being was raised in a cold corporate boardroom by PR executives.
And focus groups.
Yeah, focus groups.
Mm-hmm.
Literally raised to value market share over human life.
And the result of that highly clinical upbringing is a character whose public persona and his private reality are separated by just a massive, horrifying chasm.
It's night and day.
It really is. The narrative brilliantly sets up this tension early on. I mean, publicly, he is presented as the infallible, smiling savior of humanity.
The ultimate good guy.
Right. But privately, he operates with this sociopathic selfishness that just completely contradicts the American flag he wears on his back.
Oh, for sure. And I feel like the ultimate manifestation of this disconnect happens in the first season, with the infamous Flight 37 incident.
Oh, man. That scene is legendary for a reason.
It's so dark. Like, Homelander and Queen Maeve intercept a hijacked commercial flight over the ocean.
Right.
And in a moment of sheer carelessness, Homelander uses his heat vision to take out a terrorist, but he accidentally destroys the plane's control panel in the process.
Just completely fries it.
Yeah, so the plane is going down. Mavis is begging him to save at least a few people. Maybe carry them out one by one.
Which he has the physical power to do, at least for some of them.
Maybe. But you can actually see the cold corporate calculus happening in his head in that moment.
Oh, absolutely.
He realizes that attempting a rescue might fail and, more importantly, leaving any survivors behind to tell the story of his mistake, well, that would permanently damage his PR rating.
Right. It's all about the brand.
Always. So he turns to these desperate, terrified passengers and drops that chilling line. He just says, "I'll laser every effing one of you."
That's so brutal.
He abandons an entire plane full of innocent people to die in the ocean simply to protect a focus-grouped image.
And the psychological horror of that moment isn't even just the abandonment, it's the immediate pivot he makes afterward.
Oh, right, the crash site.
Yeah, he goes straight to the cameras at the crash site, flashes this blinding, media-trained smile, and delivers his signature folksy catchphrase. He just looks at the camera and says, "You guys are the real heroes."
The hypocrisy is insane.
And the crazy part is he doesn't even own that catchphrase. Vought International, the mega corporation that manages him, literally recycled it from an older superhero named Soldier Boy.
Wow. Even his catchphrase is stolen.
Exactly. Everything about his public identity is a manufactured product designed to generate adulation and profit.
But behind closed doors, that manufactured god just shatters.
Completely.
Like, the guy who can fly at supersonic speeds is reduced to this bizarre, deeply disturbed figure, especially when it comes to Madeline Stillwell, the Vought executive who manages him.
Oh, yeah. That dynamic is so uncomfortable.
It really is. He has this intense obsession with her breast milk, which is just, it strips away all the intimidation factor.
It really does.
Underneath it all, he's fundamentally just a frightened lab rat, desperate for maternal validation.
Well, and the underlying mechanism there is his creation via Compound V. I mean, Vought didn't raise a human being.
Right.
They engineered a living weapon and wrapped it in a patriotic brand. He spent his formative years in a sterile environment, subjected to painful physical experiments.
Just a horrific way to grow up.
Yeah, and heavy psychological conditioning. Because he was deprived of a natural home environment or, any genuine emotional connection, his emotional development was completely stunted.
So he was basically a child.
Right. He has the emotional toolkit of a volatile toddler, but the destructive capacity of a nuclear arsenal.
That is a terrifying combination.
And that inability to regulate his emotions is exactly what makes his presence on screen so inherently tense. You never know when he's going to snap.
Wait, okay, I'm struggling with the math on this universe, though.
What do you mean?
Well, if he is constantly teetering on the edge of a violent tantrum, leaving a trail of bodies and abandoning planes in the sky, how on earth hasn't the public turned on him?
Ah, right.
Are the citizens and the boys just choosing to be blind to the monster flying above them?
Well, the public doesn't see the monster because Vought International's PR machine functions as a superpower in its own right.
Oh, okay. So they're just that good at spinning it.
Exactly. They don't just cover up his crimes, they actively script reality to control the narrative. And the brilliance of the series is how Amazon has mirrored this transmedia illusion in our actual world.
Right. The real-world marketing.
Yeah, they have built this sprawling marketing apparatus that actively blurs the lines between fiction and reality, which, makes the audience complicit in the corporate spin.
It's so clever. Like, Vought actually maintains verified social media accounts on platforms like X, Instagram, and YouTube.
Real accounts.
Real accounts. And they post the exact kind of sanitized corporate spin we see from massive real-world conglomerates.
Oh, totally.
Like, they'll drop performative allyship messages for International Women's Day that subtly reinforce the show's toxic power dynamics.
Basically hinting that women are only empowered when Vaught's male leadership allows it.
Exactly. And they heavily promote fake cinematic universes, running massive campaigns for their satirized blockbuster, Dawn of the Seven.
Complete with real-world billboards and hashtags.
Yes, it's wild.
And the illusion extends deeply into interactive experiences as well. Like, consider the digital footprint for Godolphin University.
That's the superhero college from the Gen V spinoff, right?
Right. Fans can visit a fully functional university website, take 360-degree virtual tours of the campus dorms, and even generate their own personalized student ID cards.
Just to share across their personal feeds.
Exactly.
It reminds me a lot of the mechanics behind professional wrestling.
Oh, that's a great comparison. How so?
Well, the fans sitting in the arena, they know the punches are pulled, right? Yeah. They know the feuds are scripted behind the scenes.
Sure, everybody knows it's a work.
But the entire point of the event is to engage with the illusion. Booing the villain and cheering the hero makes the experience deeply immersive.
Right. You buy into the reality of the show.
Exactly. Fans of The Boys know Vought is a satirical evil corporation, but interacting with their corporate spin, like pretending it's real on Twitter, makes watching the actual show incredibly rich.
That's spot on. In fact, an academic study published by Atlantis Press examines this exact transmedia phenomenon.
Oh, really? What do they find?
The study argues that this type of storytelling fundamentally changes the viewer's role. The audience is no longer just passively consuming a television show.
They become part of it.
Right. They act as symbolic co-authors of the narrative. The researchers actually categorize this engaged audience into 3 distinct groups. They call them critics, defenders, and neutrals.
Okay, let me guess. The critics are the ones dissecting the political satire online, writing essays about the dangers of corporate monopolies.
You got it. The critics use the show's fictional framework as a launchpad to debate real-world political and social issues.
Makes sense. And the defenders?
The defenders lean heavily into the fandom. They often ironically idolize the characters, adopting the in-universe rhetoric and reinforcing the series' ideological stance through their engagement.
So they're playing along as Vought loyalists.
Pretty much. Finally, there are the neutrals. These are the passive consumers who engage with the content purely as entertaining fiction.
Right, they just think it's a fun show.
Yeah, they might generate that Godolphin ID card simply because it looks cool, without really delving into the deeper anti-capitalist messaging.
But the wild part is that all 3 groups are essentially doing free, immersive marketing for Amazon.
Absolutely.
Like, when a neutral fan shares a fake Vought press release, they are actively participating in the world building, fueling the very corporate machine the show is satirizing.
It's a brilliant marketing loop.
It really is. Vought spends billions in the show trying to curate this flawless, focus-grouped god. But the fascinating irony is that they don't actually own Homelander's image anymore.
Right. The internet does.
Yep, the internet totally claimed him.
And the internet doesn't care about his carefully curated PR rating. The memification of Homelander focuses almost entirely on his moments of psychological collapse.
Oh, it is everywhere. Like, you've got the Homelander blowing meme from Season 3, Episode 7.
Remind me of that one.
Oh, it's when he's backstage, completely overwhelmed by a situation he can't just laser his way out of, and he does this heavy cheek-puffing exhale.
Oh, right.
It absolutely blew up on TikTok.
Yeah.
People use it for the most mundane frustrations, like when the Wi-Fi drops during a meeting or you're stuck in traffic.
Taking this terrifying guy and making him totally relatable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then there's the stressed Homelander format, and this highly specific "Oi Homelander took me son" meme.
Oh my goodness, that one.
Yeah, it mocks Billy Butcher's accent and is usually paired with Starlight mogging.
Yeah.
You know, where she's flashing that chiseled, superior facial expression.
The internet really runs with this stuff.
And the actor, Anthony Starr, he fully leans into it. He went on the Today Show and flat out declared, "My career is now about memes." He even promised that the upcoming Season 5 would be an absolute meme fest.
Well, the paradox of Anthony Starr's performance is that he plays the character with such terrifying intensity that the audience's only way to process the tension is to laugh at it.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like a pressure valve.
Exactly. But this reveals a lot about the psychology of power and how society processes authoritarian figures.
Right. Let's get into the political analysis from that Scrib document.
Yeah, that analysis points to a pivotal moment in Season 3 as the ultimate case study, Homelander's live TV meltdown.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That speech.
Right? He stops reciting the sterile PR scripts, looks directly into the camera, and just screams, "I am better. I am the real hero."
And instead of his career ending, which you'd think would happen,
Right.
his poll numbers actually skyrocket. The public praises him for, telling it like it is.
And the mechanism driving that reaction is really vital to understand. When institutions like Vought's slick, highly manicured PR machine feel entirely fake and manipulative to the general public, raw, unhinged emotion is suddenly interpreted as authenticity.
Wow, so they mistake his violent narcissism for honesty.
Exactly. And the academic analysis draws direct comparisons between this fictional dynamic and real-world historical authoritarian figures.
Just to be clear for the listeners, we're just reporting what the source argues here.
Of course. Historically, societies often overlook horrific actions or a complete lack of a moral compass if a charismatic figure provides a sense of safety or an entertaining brand of nonconformity.
But that makes me wonder about our role as the audience.
How so?
Well, are we just defanging him through humor?
Yeah.
Like, does turning a literal tyrant into a funny, relatable TikTok reaction gif actually water down the terror of what he represents?
That's a great question.
By laughing at the puffed cheeks, does it make us too comfortable with the monster?
Honestly, that is the exact tension the show wants you to feel. By making him a meme, you domesticate the threat.
Right. You make him smaller.
It's a psychological coping mechanism to reclaim power from an untouchable, godlike figure. But the inherent danger is that the satire can be entirely lost in translation.
Oh, for sure.
When you meme a tyrant, you risk normalizing the tyranny. The audience might start cheering for the pure entertainment value of the villainy, completely forgetting the horrific implications behind his actions.
Which is why the show constantly has to remind us of the blood on his hands.
Yeah.
Like, they never let you forget what he's actually capable of.
Right.
But, let's strip all the meta-analysis away for a second.
Okay.
We've talked about his invincible public image, the PR spin, the transmedia marketing, the memes. What happens when this corporate god is actually tested against a true physical equal?
Ah, the reality check. That brings us to the death battle thought experiment.
Yes, pitting Homelander against Omni-Man from the Invincible Universe.
It really serves as a perfect mechanism for exposing the core truth of who Homelander actually is, when he can't rely on Vought's protection or his adoring fan base.
Because the stats on both these characters are genuinely mind-blowing. Like, Homelander is essentially a god on Earth.
Right.
He flies at hypersonic speeds, casually outrunning point-blank C4 explosions. And in the show, Madeline Stillwell claims no weapon on Earth could hurt him.
Which theoretically means he could tank a direct hit from the Tsar bomb.
Yeah, a 50-megaton nuclear weapon, which is the most powerful explosive ever detonated by humanity.
Yeah.
In his universe, he is completely untouchable.
In his confined universe, yes, he is at the absolute top of the food chain.
Right.
But Omni-Man's stats operate on an entirely different galactic scale. He's a Viltrumite, a 1,000-year-old warrior.
1,000 years.
Yeah. His flight speed is so immense that the sheer friction of his body moving through the air literally ignites a planet's atmosphere.
That is absurd. And Omni-Man once deflected a meteor the size of Texas.
Which is just staggering to think about.
We're talking an estimated 4.6 quintillion tons of rock moving at re-entry speeds, and he just swatted it away like a fly. Plus, he can travel faster than the speed of light.
So, when these two clash in a hypothetical scenario, the outcome is just devastatingly one-sided.
Oh, it's not even a contest.
No. Homelander initially brings his usual arrogance, relying on his heat vision and sonic screams to end the fight quickly, as he always does.
Because that's all he's ever needed.
Right. But he is completely outmatched physically and, more importantly, psychologically. The battle ends in an incredibly brutal fashion, with Omni-Man crushing Homelander's jaw and literally feeding him his own heart.
It is incredibly gruesome, but it proves a brilliant thematic point.
What's your read on it?
It's like a trust fund kid who inherited a billion-dollar company but has never actually balanced a checkbook or worked a day in his life.
Oh, I like that analogy.
And suddenly he's thrown into a hostile corporate takeover against a ruthless, self-made titan who built his empire from the ground up. All the fancy suits and media training mean absolutely nothing when the actual foundations are tested.
Because Homelander has never had to learn how to throw a proper punch.
And he's definitely never had to learn how to take a hit.
Exactly. That is Homelander stripped bare. He is a bully, not a warrior.
Right.
He was raised in a test tube and engineered to be genetically superior. Omni-Man, by contrast, comes from a brutal, intergalactic warrior culture based entirely on combat, discipline, and survival.
So Omni-Man earned his power, in a way.
Yes. Homelander's invulnerability is entirely passive. Things just bounce off him. He's never had to brace for impact.
Wow.
So when he is faced with real adversity, someone who isn't remotely intimidated by his glowing red eyes or his focus group smile, his entire god complex just crumples into absolute panic.
He completely falls apart. When his power is checked, there's no heroism, no stoicism, no tactical genius.
Nothing to fall back on.
Just a terrified, overgrown lab rat throwing a tantrum because he's finally losing.
And that fragility is what makes him such a compelling study of power. He demands absolute submission from the world because he is fundamentally unequipped to handle a fair fight.
Exactly.
He is a bully masquerading as a god, entirely dependent on a system that props him up.
Well, we have covered a massive amount of ground today on this deep dive.
We really did.
We explored how Homelander serves as a dark, twisted mirror to the classic superhero archetype, masking deeply sociopathic behavior behind an American flag.
And we analyzed how Vought International operates as a vehicle for brilliant corporate satire.
Yeah, using the transmedia marketing to turn us into symbolic co-authors of their fictional universe.
Plus, we dove into the psychology of his authoritarian appeal. The mechanics of why raw emotion is mistaken for authenticity.
And how meme culture might actually risk normalizing the very terror the show is trying to satirize.
Right.
And ultimately, we stripped away the PR to reveal the fragile, emotionally stunted bully hiding underneath it all.
It is a profound reflection of our modern era, and it really leaves you with something critical to consider moving forward.
Oh, what's that?
In a world increasingly dominated by curated social media feeds, algorithmic echo chambers, and highly sophisticated corporate PR, if a real-life Vought International existed today, would we be media literate enough to see through the spin, the memes, and the performative allyship?
That's a scary thought.
Or would we be standing right there in the crowd, cheering as the lasers start to fly?
See you again in the next episode of this podcast.